What makes a person successful? Special talents? College degrees? Family money? Most of us doubt that we have what it takes. But before you give up on your dreams, take a look at a few of the most successful people of this century. The uneducated son of an Irish immigrant pursues his dream of mass-producing the automobile. A college dropout takes over his father's billboard company as it nears bankruptcy. An abused child, born and raised in the Deep South, begins her television career at 19. What is your own situation? You probably have more education than each of these people. Your family probably has more wealth than they had. Yet each of these famous people today is worth hundreds of millions. What is the difference? At age 30, Art Williams was a high school coach, making $10,700 a year with $1,000 in his teacher's credit union. 20 years later, he was chairman of his own company, A.L. Williams, the world's largest producer of individual life insurance. During the 1980s, A.L. Williams outsold such well-known companies as Prudential and New York Life. It produced more than 1,000 people earning six-figure incomes and was the world leader in corporate satellite communications. Art Williams discovered the secret that can make anyone successful, no matter who you are or what your background. He discovered the power of believing in you.
Let me ask you this. Why do a few people win in business while most people lose, even though most of those people that lose have more education, more talent, more training, more experience? Why do a few people in business make a lot of money while most people in business struggle financially? Why do a few people in business really love what they do? They have fun in their business life, and most people in business are miserable and unhappy? Why do a few people in business really feel good about themselves? They really feel they're doing something important, they're making a difference with their life, and most people think their business life is hard and bitter and filled with a lot of disappointments. And see, I spent my entire adult life studying the winners, what I call the 2%ers. You know, it seems to me that 98% of the people in business, they do enough just to get by. But 2% of the people out there, they have a hunger to be somebody. They want to do something incredible with their life. And I've spent my entire adult life studying those 2%ers, trying to find that one thing all these 2%ers do, that common denominator that all these 2%ers do to make them winners, so I can apply that one thing to my life and help me be successful. And I want to share that one thing with you today. I want to talk to you today about the single most important thing to winning in business. See, I believe the most important thing to winning is you. It's what kind of person you are, what kind of husband you are, what kind of wife you are, what kind of dad you are, what kind of mom you are, what kind of example you are. See, folks, you are it. You are everything. The most important thing to winning in business is your attitude about you. It's your attitude about life. I'm going to give you a lot of unwritten laws today. In my first one, positive thinkers win and negative thinkers lose. See, the most important thing to winning in business, folks, is your expectations. Another unwritten law. Whatever you expect to happen with confidence happens. Let me give you two examples. Let's say you're coaching a football team. Folks, if you go out there this week, let's say you're playing Tennessee on Saturday, and you work hard, you prepare well, you study the game films, and all week your attitude is, man, Tennessee's the number 6 team in the country. Man, I hope we got a chance. I just hope we get all the breaks. I just hope we got a chance to win. You've already lost the game before you even show up. But folks, if you're playing Tennessee on Saturday, and you just think you're supposed to be somebody, you're going to do something big, and you go out there and you work hard and you prepare well and you study those films and you get up mentally, and then on Saturday you go out there and you leave it all on the field, and you just have a feeling that, dadgummit, this is our time, we going to do it. You got a chance to win. In sales, folks, if you've got to make a sale, if you go in a home and you got to make this sale or you're going to lose your house, And you go in that home and you say, oh man, I just, if I've ever had a chance to make a sale, I just hope I can make this sale. Man, I need this sale. You've already lost the sale before you walk in the house. But if you believe passionately of what you do like I did, when you walk in that home, folks, I didn't believe they made people stupid enough not to buy term and invest the difference if they had trash value life insurance. Then you've got a chance to win. See, folks, the most important thing is your passion. You win with your heart, not your head. You win on emotion, not on logic. The most important thing to winning is the power of believing in you. The power of believing that you can win. The power of believing that good things will happen to you. The power of believing that you're special. See, folks, I really believe the biggest single obstacle standing in your way to success is not lack of education, it's not lack of background, it's not lack of money, it's lack of belief in yourself. See, folks, think about this. I believe the difference in being great and average and ordinary, isn't that unbelievable? The difference in being great and average and ordinary, the difference in winning and losing is this much. And this much is what I call a special kind of attitude, a special kind of mental toughness, a special kind of hunger to be somebody. See, folks, I believe you can overcome every problem in business. You can overcome financial problems. You can overcome personal problems. You can overcome health problems, business problems, sales problems, recruiting problems, and still be all you want to be in business. But you can't ever overcome an attitude problem. The moment you give up on you, you're dead as a doornail. Another unwritten law. The single most important thing you'll develop in your entire lifetime is a positive attitude. You see, folks, I believe everybody wants to be somebody. I don't believe there's ever been a piece of flesh that's ever been born on this earth that didn't want to be somebody. Everybody wants to be somebody. You know, as youngsters, when we were kids playing cowboys and Indians and stuff like this, you know, we grew up wanting to be the sheriff or an astronaut or an NFL quarterback or president of the United States. But life just has a way of beating you down. You know, I coached for 7 years in Georgia in high school. And it seems that for most adult men and women, their high school years were the very peak years for them to truly dream and be excited about life. Man, when those guys and gals came into high school, man, their eyes were as big as a baseball. Man, they got their driver's license and started driving. They started dating. They were playing on athletic teams before hundreds of thousands of people. They were in beauty contests, or they were majorettes, and they had their mamas and daddies and uncles and aunts and teachers and coaches telling them how pretty they are, fast they are, strong they are, special they are. And then they graduate. And they get dumped out in the big bad world, and they get married, and they have a few kids, and they change jobs 2 or 3 times. And then all of a sudden they roll out of bed one morning, and they're a different person. They've developed an attitude that life's passed me by, that life's dealt me a bad hand. Well, folks, the first rule to winning is you've got to become a dreamer again. You've got to like you again. You've got to believe you're special again. You've got to get this high school-like enthusiasm in your life again. Now, you know what? You might say, all right, now, what's this dream business got to do with me? Just everything. That's all. Just everything. Hey, let me give you an example. A few months ago, I went and spoke to the University of Georgia football team. And last year, Georgia was 6-6. And they went to some rinky-dink bowl, the Peach Bowl, down in Atlanta. Now I spoke to the team, and I got to this part, you know, and I said, you know, your high school years are your peak years to be excited and pumped up about life, and life has a way of beating you down. The first rule to win is you got to dream again, okay? And I said, let's just see what life's doing to you Georgia football players right now. You just think back a year ago. A year ago, you were the #1 stud in school, right? I mean, you were the all-state player. You were getting these recruiting letters from all the schools all over the country, right? Man, your names were in the newspaper every week. You'd walk downtown, everybody'd say, man, you're a stud. Man, you're the best ever been. How many of you kids went to Notre Dame for a recruiting visit? And a bunch of them raised their hands. I said, how many of y'all go down to Miami? A bunch of them raised their hands. I said, how many of y'all went down to FSU? A bunch of them raised their hands. I said, just think a year ago now when you came to the University of Georgia. You know, they had this cute little girl pick you up to show you around, right? And they take you down to the stadium, to Sanford Stadium, between the hedges, 85,000 people there, right? You all starry-eyed, right? Man, they make you feel like a king, right? And you sit there and all of a sudden you start dreaming. You say, man, I'm going to play for the Bulldogs, 85,000 people. And man, we're going to win a national championship. We're going to go to Sugar Bowl. Man, this is unbelievable. Life's a bowl of cherries. And then you graduate and you come to Georgia and you play a year and you're 6-6. You know what you are when you're 6-6? You're better than the losers. See, Georgia players, you know what football, you know how important football is to you right now? Do you understand, folks? This is your life. This is your legacy. This is who you are. See, you're writing your history right now. See, it's not going to be long. You're on this earth, but it's not going to be long, and you're going to be bouncing your grandbaby on your knee. And he's going to say, Papa, did you ever play football? And you're going to say, I sure did, son. I played at the University of Georgia. And his eyes are going to get big. And he says, Papa, you mean you played at the University of Georgia on one of those national championship teams with Herschel Walker? And you're going to say, no, I didn't do that. And he'll say, Papa, did you go to Sugar Bowl? No, I didn't do that. He said, Papa, oh, what did your teams do? We were 6-6. But we beat Vanderbilt. See, folks, let me ask you this. What's your legacy going to be? What's your legacy going to be? See, folks, you know in April I'm going to be 55 years old. But you know what? I feel 16. I don't feel 55. Do you understand, folks? You're here on this earth for it. Just like, you understand? Just like that. Do you understand? I don't feel old. It just seemed like, just like that, I was in high school. Just like that, I was getting married, having my baby. Now I've got 7 grandbabies. See, folks, it's not going to be long. They're going to be planting you in the ground out there. And they're going to be patting you in the face with a shovel. And there's going to be a tombstone over your head. And it's going to say one of two things. It's going to say, here lies a dud, or here lies a stud. Now, folks, let me ask you this. What's your tombstone going to say about you? See, folks, beginning March 1967, for 25 years, I led a crusade against the life insurance industry. For over 100 years, life insurance companies went into the home of the American consumer through advertising. Life insurance agents went into the home of the American consumer personally, and they looked Mom and Dad across the kitchen table, and they said, trust me. And then they screwed them, and I love getting after them. Today, I'm on a new crusade. I'm on a new crusade against all those voices out there that tell people like me that I ain't good enough, that I ain't smart enough, that I ain't talented enough. I'm on a new crusade against this phony propaganda out there that education's the key, that talent's the key, that training's the key. See, if you listen to these so-called experts now, we're in a new era. It's a communications era. There's something out there called an internet, the information highway. Oh, well, you know what? Me and my Mercedes ain't ever been down no information highway. See, hey, I don't even know what that is. See, you listen to the so-called experts today, they say, we're in a computer age. We're in a new era. Well, you know what? You see these hands? They ain't ever touched a computer. But you know what? You know what? You know what these voices are telling me? You missed a train. It's too late for you. Well, you know what? I ain't missed nothing. You know what? You know what? Warren Buffett, supposedly the second richest man in the world, worth $15 billion or something like this. I read the other day where he touched his first computer 3 years ago. Not for business, but to learn to play bridge. See, my crusade is against the arrogance of the elite. These people that think to win, you got to be born on the right side of the tracks. You got to go to the Ivy League schools. You got to be members of the prestigious clubs. Bull. My crusade is against these motivational speakers that blow into town and blow a lot of hot air up your butt, and it's gone in 24 hours. My crusade is against these expert trainers that ain't ever built nothing, telling you the secret, and they don't know the secret. My crusade is against this dress for success crowd. That's a bunch of crowd. My crusade is against these personnel agencies. They give you the aptitude test and the achievement test and the personality test. That's a bunch of crowd. They ain't nobody ever designed a test, nor will they design a test that can look inside the man of a woman and tell who a champion is. My crusade is against these ads on TV and this crowd from Hollywood that produces all these movies. I love to watch TV, and I love to go to the movies. And you know, after watching TV or going to the movies for hours every day, you know they program us to think the good-looking guy always gets the girl. Ain't that right? I mean, after watching a movie for hours, at the end of the movie, the good-looking guy always gets the girl. Ain't that right? I mean, he's 6'3", slim body, slick back hair, white teeth, beautiful smile, three-piece suit, wingtip shoes, great tennis player. Ain't that right? And then after watching that for hours every day, you go in the bathroom and you look in the mirror and you say, well, throw up. Ain't that right? See, my crusade is against these college professors and these universities that are teaching kids how to win in business. You got any universities around here? What? Northwestern. They got a business department out there? Now, folks, see if this makes any sense to you. If these business professors really knew how to build a business, would they be out at Northwestern teaching a bunch of kids for $30,000 or $40,000 a year, or would they be out there building a business?
You know what? I know some of you now are probably saying, Art, I don't know if I like you. You sound like an old tough butt to me. Well, folks, you better be tough to win. You know, let me give you another unwritten law. To win big, you got to stand for something. People in this country are so dadgum fed up with mealy mouths and fence sitters and these dadgum politicians that say anything to get your vote, these businesses that sell anything to make a profit. You know, I've had three heroes in my adult life. My two high school coaches and Coach Bryant, the great football coach at Alabama. And I think because of the influence of my two high school coaches, I've never had a drink. I'm not opposed to somebody taking a social drink if they can handle it, but I've just never done it in my life. And when I founded A.O. Williams and we became this superstar success story, I didn't allow anybody to drink no alcohol at any A.O. Williams function. And I know a lot of people poo-pooed that, you know, and they said, oh, Art Williams, he's Mickey Mouse and blah, 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 you know. I bought a CFL football team a year ago, and there's a tradition in the CFL that after the game, you know, they have a keg of beer in their locker room. And I told my coach, Jack Pardee, that, Jack, we're not going to do that. I'm not going to have alcohol in a locker room and let these kids think, you know, that's okay. And then all of a sudden this takes them down a bad road. Now, you know, folks, in business, if you stand for something, I tell you, the saddest thing I see in this country is you would think people would applaud you for that. They'd say, yeah, that a boy, way to go, I'm proud of you. But I'm sad to say, folks, that if you stick your head up in this country, what most people are going to do is try to pull you down and knock your head off and say something bad about you. You know, the proudest thing I think about what we did at A.O. Williams is out of 2,000 companies in that industry, A.O. Williams was the only company that sold term insurance 100% of the time, and I could prove mathematically that buy term and invest the difference was the way to go. But you know, our competition, rather than applaud us, you know, the best thing they said about me was that I've been in jail, you know, that A.O. Williams had outlawed in 98 states, and if you wanted to go to the local A.O. Williams office, you know, you go right outside the city limits and there's a trailer hitched up to a car, you know, and they're here today and gone tomorrow. But you know what, folks? See, that shouldn't bother you if you know you're right. You know, some 20 years later, you know, this is a full page in the money section of USA Today. It talks about Prudential settling this lawsuit for over $1 billion, you know, where they defrauded thousands of people out of their life insurance. See, A.O. Williams was right. But there was a time when we were very controversial, and people talked about us and took shots at us. And let me just give you a rule. In case you don't want anybody to talk about you now, and you don't want to ever be controversial in your business life, folks, let me give you 3 rules, and I guarantee you nobody will ever talk about you, okay? Number 1, don't do nothing, don't say nothing, or don't have nothing.
You know what? You know what? Now listen to me, folks. It's pretty heavy right here. The biggest problem you'll face in your business lifetime is your fears and your worries. That's almost destroyed me. See, folks, it's human nature to fear, to worry, to doubt yourself, to feel inadequate. See, because I'm a worrier, early in my business career, I thought there was something wrong with me. You know, as I looked at the world out there through my eyes, people that drove a big car, that lived in a big house, that ran a big company, that worked in a big office, in my eyes, those people looked different from me. They looked like they were confident and happy all the time. And then I'd go look in the mirror at Art Williams and I'd see a bowl of Jell-O. I was always scared. I was always worried. And then I made it. And I became wealthy. And then thousands of my teammates became wealthy. And I met some of the most powerful people in the world. And you know what I found out? I found out that everybody, every piece of flesh, even the most powerful people in the world, are powerful and positive for minutes at a time, for hours at a time. Maybe the most powerful person in the world is powerful and positive for days at a time. See, folks, I'm one of the most powerful, positive people you'll meet in your life. And one of my goals I want to fulfill before they pat me in the face with a shovel is I'd like to be totally positive and not worry and not get scared just for 24 hours. But every time I get a string going, I get up to 9 hours or 11 hours or 13 hours, and then something happens, and I get scared again. And folks, it's your ability to understand there's nothing wrong with you when you're scared, when you're worried, when you feel inadequate. We all do that. Everybody does that. You're not alone. See, folks, it's the easiest thing in the world to be negative. It's the hardest thing in the world to be positive. It's the easiest thing in the world to be sad. You know, folks, you're going to have dozens of things every day of your life that'll give you a reason to be sad. It's the hardest thing in the world to be happy. It's the easiest thing in the world to get down. It's the hardest thing in the world to stay up. It's the easiest thing in the world to give up, to quit. It's the hardest thing in the world to keep on fighting. It's the easiest thing in the world to look at a successful person and compare yourself and feel like you were cheated. When you look at him or her, you say, man, I wish I could talk like him. I wish I looked like him. I wish I was talented like him. I wish I was confident like him. The hardest thing in the world is to believe in you, to believe you're special, to believe you're different, to believe you're supposed to be somebody. The hardest thing in the world is, in spite of all your fears, all your worries, all your doubts, all your feelings of inadequacy, is to believe in yourself one more time, to pick yourself up off the mat one more time.
Now, I'm going to say something you're probably going to think is really dumb now, okay? See, I really believe your fears and your worries and your self-doubts and your feelings of inadequacies, I really believe that's a good thing. Why would I say such a thing? Because I believe your fears and your worries keep you on your toes. It keeps you working hard. It keeps you with an attitude that you got to get up and go get better. You got to always get better. See, every time you go through a crisis, every time you meet a challenge and you win, you work through it and win, so see, you always come out better. You always come out stronger. Let me give you another unwritten law. Things are never as bad as they seem, and things are never as good as they seem. See, folks, you can't ever give up. You've got to always keep fighting. Let me give you a personal example. In 1977, when I founded A.O. Williams, we were just a peanut. Now, there were 85 people in our company, and we were all in the major metropolitan Atlanta area. That was the whole A.O. Williams company right there. All of our business came from Georgia. The Georgia Insurance Commissioner got a lot of pressure from the insurance industry, you know, to put us out of business, and he issued subpoenas to everybody in A.O. Williams Company. All 85 of us got a subpoena. And they took us down to the courthouse, and we had to put our right hand up and put our left hand on the Bible, you know, and swear to tell the truth. And they grilled us. Pretty intimidating thing, right? Man, for a few days in there, I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. I was sick as a dog. And let me tell you this. A few years later, the insurance commissioner, Johnny Caldwell, became a member of the A.O. Williams Board of Directors. But at that time, this was a crisis. I mean, I was sick as a dog, you know. I thought we were going to be put out of business. But you know what that forced us to do? It forced us to get out of one state. We were never going to let one state control us again. And so I froze all promotions. I said, if you want a promotion, if you want to open your own office, you have to move outside of the state of Georgia. And so this crisis propelled us to become a national and an international company, and we became stronger. See, folks, you can't ever give up. Things are never as bad as they seem. Let me give you another example. One day I woke up and the industry had this professor in Indiana that writes an insurance publication called Insurance Forum, you know, that said something bad about A.O. Williams. He wrote a bad article about A.O. Williams and said what a bunch of bad guys we were and that term insurance was not right and all this kind of stuff, you know. And I was devastated. I said, now, how can we overcome this? This is a professor that says A.O. Williams is bad and that term insurance is not right. And so I was sick as a dog for a few days. You know, I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. You know, I was worrying myself to death. You know, I thought this was the end of A.O. Williams. But you know what it forced us to do? It forced us to go out and get something to counter that. And I went to New York City and I found Arthur Milton, Man of the Year in the insurance industry. He had written some 9 books, a famous guy, and showed him A.O. Williams, and he came to love our company, and he gave a tremendous endorsement of our company. And I found Frank McIntosh, you know, who had appeared as a government witness numbers of times, you know, on behalf of By-Term Invested Difference, and he fell in love with A.O. Williams, and he endorsed our company, and we countered that, and we became stronger.
See, folks, things are never as bad as they seem. You can't ever give up, but by the same token, things are never as good as they seem. So see, folks, if you make a big sale, if you earn a promotion, if you win a contest, if you get your dream home, folks, always remember this next unwritten law. You're only one day away from a disaster, okay? So, folks, you can't ever feel good until you win, until you become totally financially independent. Folks, you can't ever work hard enough. You can't ever sell enough. You can't ever recruit enough. You can't ever save enough. Now, let me ask you this. Now, how important is your attitude? How important is your attitude? Let's examine that for a minute. See, folks, I believe your attitude affects every single area of your life. Folks, if you've got a positive attitude, if you like yourself, listen to this, you got a chance to succeed in business. If you have a negative attitude, if you feel bad about yourself, if you've got a mad on against the world out there, folks, you're guaranteed to lose in business. That's how serious this is. Listen to this. Do you know, folks, there have been studies that have proven that your attitude affects your health? Do you understand if you've got a positive, healthy feeling about yourself, outlook on life, you live longer, you handle stress better, you handle pressure better? Do you realize if you've got a positive, healthy attitude, you look better? It affects the way you look. You look more alive. It affects your energy. You feel better. You've got more energy. It affects your finances. You make more money. Listen to this. It affects your marriage. Do you know, folks, it's been proven if you don't like yourself, if you've got a negative, bitter attitude, you can't really love your wife or your husband right. It's impossible. Isn't that something? Listen to this one. This will tear you up. Do you know, folks, if you've got a bitter, old attitude about yourself in life, you can't raise your kids and prepare them for the tough adult world? How about that? Isn't that unbelievable? Chuck Swindoll is one of the great writers, I think, of the last 20 years. He said it better than I can say it. Listen to this. Talking about attitude. The longer I live, the more I realize the impact of attitude on life. Attitude to me is more important than facts. It's more important than the past, than education, than money, than circumstances, than failures, than success, than what other people think or say or do. It is more important than appearance, giftedness, or skill. It will make or break a company, a church, a home. The remarkable thing is we have a choice every day regarding the attitude we will embrace for that day. We cannot change our past. We cannot change the fact that people will act in a certain way. We cannot change the inevitable. The only thing we can do is play on the one string we have, and that is our attitude. I am convinced that life is 10% what happens to me and 90% how I react to it. And so it is with you. Let me ask you this, folks. It's pretty deep now. Why are there so few winners in business if two things are true as I believe they are? I believe every piece of flesh that has ever been born wants to be somebody. Okay? So if everybody wants to be somebody, and I know that's the truth, okay? And if the second thing now is true, and I know it is, that winners are made, not born, this elitist theory, folks, where the brightest minds are going to win, those with a college education, all that kind of stuff, see, all that's blown up in their face over the last 30 or 40 years now. See, folks, winners are made, not born. So if everybody wants to win, and they do, and if winners are made, not born, then why doesn't everybody win? Good question, right? I believe there are two reasons. Number one, I believe most people have been so abused in their life, they've given up on themselves. They've been so abused by their mom or dad or wife or husband or boss or teacher or coach, they've just given up on themselves. They don't feel like they're worth anything. Now, folks, this form of abuse might be physical. That's a sad thing, okay? But most of this abuse I'm talking about that makes you give up is not physical. It's a kind of neglect. It's not being loved in the right way. It's nobody in your life, no adult that you respected in your life setting high standards and high expectations for you. Nobody talking to you like you're special. Nobody that you admire as a leader looking at you like you're a stud. The second reason I believe there's so few winners out there is people make a series of bad choices in your life. See, folks, they don't make no perfect people. You understand that? And you're looking about the most imperfect guy in the world, right? Really ain't none of us worth nothing. You understand that? We all sin every day. You understand that, right? But a loser just screws up over and over and over. He just goes way beyond that. You understand that? Let me just give you 3 examples. Handling money. Folks, it's unbelievable the number of people that would come to A.L. Williams, and man, they'd get so excited, they'd say, man, this is it for me. Man, I'm going to the top now. This is my opportunity. And man, they'd start making money, boy, and they were going to be, and then all of a sudden they couldn't stand it. They started comparing themselves to everybody. And man, they had to have a bigger house, and they had to have a bigger car, and they had to have a bigger diamond ring for their wife. And they didn't pay their taxes, and they made stupid investments. And they just did it over and over and over and over and over. Then all of a sudden they had a crisis, and you will have. And they were wiped out. Another area I found at A.L. Williams where people make a series of bad choices is in working hard. It's unbelievable the number of men and women that would come to work at A.L. Williams. They say, man, this is it for me. I'm so pumped up. And they'd start working hard. I mean, man, they'd bust it. They'd work hard for a day or 2 or 3. Or a week or 2 or 3. Or a month or 2 or 3. But right before they had a chance to make it, they were always quitting, just like their whole life, just a rerun of their whole life, everything they've ever tried. Man, they'd do it just long enough to almost have a chance. And then they just quit. They just a series of quitting. Just one opportunity right after another. The third series of bad choices that I saw so many people make were in their personal life. Do you know what a disaster divorce is on young people today, folks? You have people getting divorced 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 times, having a series of affairs, become drunkards and alcoholics and all that kind of stuff. See, most people fail to win in business. All could win in business. But most people fail to win in business because they've been abused and they've given up on themselves, or they make a series of bad choices. But then there's me and people like me. See, folks, I believe winners win and losers lose. See, you give a dadgum loser everything. You give him dozens of opportunities, the best training, the best help, the best product, the best commission, loan him money, give him money, do everything you want to for him, and he'll find a way to screw it up. But you give a winner like me that wants to be somebody, that's eating up, wanting to make a difference with his life, you give him an opportunity for real, You give him his shot, that's the toughest dude you'll deal with, I'll tell you that. See, folks, winners overcome their circumstances and win. You know what's funny about a loser? See, the losers out there, they think they're the only people that suffer, that they're the only people that have disappointments. Well, see, the winner has every problem the loser had. Do you understand the winner's abused too? They're abused too, a bunch of times. You understand that? Do you know the winner makes a series of bad choices too? We all do. You understand that? They hurt, they fear, they doubt, they have every challenge and every problem of the loser. But unlike the loser, they overcome their problems and they overcome their mistakes and they win. Let me give you 3 personal examples of friends of mine. Max Cleland, that last Tuesday just won the U.S. Senate race for the state of Georgia. When he was a young man, he went to Vietnam. While he was in Vietnam, he stepped on a landmine. He lost both of his legs to his hip, lost one of his arms to his shoulder. Pretty tough hit, right? Most people that had that happen to them would come back to the United States and they'd drop out of society and be a druggie or whatnot, right? But Max Cleland came back in spite of that hardship. He wanted to make a contribution. He wanted to be somebody. He became head of the Veterans Administration in Washington. He became Secretary of State in Georgia. And last Tuesday was elected to the U.S. Senate for the state of Georgia. Let me tell you about another friend of mine, Chuck Colson. You know, Chuck Colson was Richard Nixon's top lawyer. Chuck Colson, as a lawyer, got to the top of his profession. He was the lawyer, the top lawyer to the President of the United States. He got caught up in Watergate. He went to prison. Pretty tough lick, right? Most people that go to prison think you can't ever climb that mountain again. You understand that? But Chuck Colson got out of prison, and he said, I want to be somebody. I want to make my mark. I want to help people out there. And Chuck founded a ministry for prisoners. And today, Chuck Colson's worth to human mankind out there is 1,000,000 times more than if he had stayed a lawyer. You know, I had 2 friends outside of A.O. Williams in the life insurance business, and you know what? Some of you might say, Art, I didn't know you had any friends outside of A.O. Williams in the life insurance industry. And that's basically right. But I had 2 friends, Art DeMoss and Stanley Byer, that founded insurance companies that built a net worth for their family of hundreds of millions of dollars, and neither one of them had a high school degree.
Now let me stop for a minute now and make sure you understand how I feel about this. You know, I'm talking to you now about a very narrow subject of winning in business, okay? Now I know, and I know you know, there are a lot of winners in life out there. You show me a mom that loves her husband, she loves those children, she builds that special home in every way. That person's a winner, okay? You show me a dad that loves that wife, that he loves those children, he provides for that family. In every way you measure winner, he's a winner. You know, there are all kind of winners out there. You use firemen and policemen and ministers and teachers and coaches and missionaries and people that work with the homeless out there, okay? There are a lot of winners in life. You know, you're here on this earth for a flicker. It's incredible how fast your life goes. You know, I'm a Christian and I've accepted Jesus as my Savior, so I've got my eternal life, you know, set. If you've done that, certainly you're a winner. But I'm not talking to you on this tape about, you know, that part of life, okay? I'm talking to you about winning in business.
Now listen to me, folks. This is pretty heavy. See, most people in business out there, most adults out there are caught up in a vicious cycle. Now, see, I believe most adults, when I see most adults, let me try to define it for you now. I'm talking about maybe 80%, maybe 90%, maybe more are negative, bitter, frustrated, unhappy with the way their business life turned out. Now, folks, how could this happen? How could this happen where 80 or 90% or more of the adults out there are unhappy? Very easy. Let me just give you an example of what's happened in our country the last 30 or 40 years. Do you know, folks, I know I look like an old man, but I don't feel old. You understand? It was just like that in the 50s when I was growing up in Cairo, Georgia. That wasn't that long ago. You understand that? Do you understand? Just like that, you didn't have divorce in Cairo, Georgia. Now I know husbands and wives fought back in the 50s, and they probably didn't like each other sometime, but none of them got divorced. If you ever heard of divorce, that's the worst national scandal that's ever been in the history of the world, right? Do you know over 60% of new marriages are ending up in divorce right now? Do you know what divorce does to children when they get old? Do you know what studies are showing that does to the kids now? Do you know when I went to school, folks, when I went to Cairo High School in the 50s, just that wasn't long ago, do you know the worst thing that happened, I mean, where people just, it was a scandal for weeks, was a fist fight or something? Do you know today in schools you worry if you have an argument whether somebody's going to pull a gun out and shoot you? They have to have metal detectors now when you go to a lot of public schools, you know, to try to screen out the knives and the... Ain't that sad? I understand why people sort of get down about life, right? Well, what about drugs? Do you understand? I've never had a drink, as I said a while ago. But do you understand, if one in high school, if one of my classmates drank a beer and people found out about it, I mean, they almost wanted to hang him out there in the public square. You understand that? Today, do you realize the peer pressure our young kids live under? They say that there are drugs now, folks, that a young person can take 1 or 2 or maybe 3 times and get hooked on it. Isn't that sad? Young people's lives just devastated before they even have a chance to get on. What about TV? Do you know, it wasn't that long ago in Cairo, Georgia. My daddy was just middle income, lower middle income. But I had one of the first 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 TV sets in Cairo, Georgia, little bitty black and white thing. We had to either get Jacksonville, Florida, or Atlanta, Georgia. It came in snowy and all that kind of stuff, you know. But think about the TV shows we used to watch back then. The Beverly Hillbillies, Andy Griffin, Dick Van Dyke, the Ed Sullivan Show. Think about the crowd our people are faced with today. Ain't that sad? Or what about the news? Folks, I remember just like this, when they thought nobody would watch news over 15 minutes. The national news was 15 minutes. Today you got 24 hours a day of news. They're hitting us with what's wrong in Bosnia and all these other places around the world. Ain't that right? What about moms having to work outside the home? You know, in the 50s, my mom worked in the home. Do you know today most moms and daddies have to work outside the home just to pay taxes and put food on the table? Isn't that something? Folks, do you know it wasn't this long ago in the early 1900s, there was no income tax? Isn't that something? Today, maybe 50%, 40%, 60% of everything you make goes to the government tax. Listen to this one, folks. Do you know 22, 23-year-olds that are entering the workplace today, if you allow for inflation, now this is scary, are making 25% less money, real value of money, than 20 years ago. Ain't that depressing? Hey, folks, listen to this one. Do you know for the first time in the history of our country, a person graduating today with a college degree can expect to make less than those that graduated with a college degree before? Social Security bankrupt, Medicare bankrupt. I mean, you just go on and on, right? You can understand why these adults are all frustrated about their life, the way it turned out, right? Now, folks, you understand this vicious cycle I'm talking about, these 80, 90% of the adults out there that are negative and frustrated and worried and unhappy? You know who those people are? That's the moms and the dads. That's the coaches and the teachers. That's the uncles and the aunts. That's the business leaders out there. And you know what's sad about that? Because these adult leaders, these moms and dads and all these other adult leaders in a community, do you know young people that look to them as their role model? You know what these young people see? They see themselves in the future. They see a tough, bitter, hard life. And so this vicious cycle are these frustrated parents and frustrated teachers producing frustrated kids that become parents and teachers and role models. Does that make sense? See, most adults enter the adult world today, folks, and they don't really believe they're worth very much. Let me give you an example. If I took every one of you today over in a private office and I took my lawyer, Kevin King, and I said, Kevin, I want you to draw up an ironclad contract that I can't break. Give these people a $100,000 minimum guaranteed job for the rest of their life, and all they have to do is show up and work. Almost everybody in this room would sign that contract. But if I told Kevin, I said, now Kevin, you draw up a contract ironclad where I can't break it, minimum $100,000 a year every year for the rest of their life, but they've got to give up the security of their full-time job. Now they've got to come here and they've got to do this, this, and this and earn that. Almost nobody would sign it. You know why that is? Because most people don't really, when they look in the mirror now, when they're by themselves, they don't really think they're worth big money. They don't really believe in their heart they're worth big responsibility. Now let me stop for a minute and tell you what I think the number one responsibility while we're on this subject of a parent, of a leader, of a role model is. I believe you've got to develop what I call my granddaddy attitude. You've got to become an expert in showing love, showing praise, looking at young people as studs, expecting big things. You just got to go crazy like a granddaddy does against those grandbabies. You know I got 7 grandbabies now. And you know when a granddaddy looks at those grandbabies, folks, you don't see nothing but perfection. You understand that? There ain't one single flaw in my grandbabies. You know I got a farm outside of Atlanta that our family goes to as a retreat a lot, and I just built a gym for me and my grandbabies. And this gym, if you're looking at it this way, on these 3 walls, I got 7 grandbabies, and I got a big old plaque, about this long, this big old plaque, and I got 3 of them for each one of the grandbabies. I got All Region, Liz Williams, All State, Liz Williams, All American, Liz Williams. Around 3 sides of my gym, each one of my babies got 3 of those things, okay? On this wall right here, I got a big old Wall of Fame board here. All my babies are on their Papa's Wall of Fame right now. On this end of the gym here, I got a banner about almost as big as that banner right now. Each one of my babies got a banner, and it says All-Star, and it's got their name coming down the middle this way, 7 of them on this end of the gym right now. And then you know how Michael Jordan, you know, when he leaves North Carolina and they retire his jersey and everything, you know, in the top of my gym, in the middle of my gym up there, all my grandbabies already got their jerseys retired. Every one of them got their name on a jersey. See, folks, it's sad you got to get old like me to understand your responsibility as a leader and a role model. You got to look at those people you love as studs. You got to show them you love them. You got to set high standards and high expectations.
Now, if you're caught in this vicious cycle out there, if up to this point in life you've been a failure, you know, you've got poor expectations, you've got a negative outlook on life, are you doomed to failure? Or you just got to stay in this vicious cycle out there? No way. People are getting out of it every day. But folks, you've got to change. See, if you don't change, just go look in the mirror, folks. The next 5 or 10 years are going to be just like the last 5 or 10 years. Ain't that depressing? See, people like us, folks, nobody's going to come along and strike an oil well in our backyard. See, folks, you ain't going to hit no lottery. You're not going to inherit millions of dollars. For you to get out of this vicious cycle out there and change your life, folks, you got to change. You got to do something different in the future than you've done in the past.
Let me tell you this. I have a real problem, folks, with these psychiatrists and these psychologists and these so-called experts that go around and say you can change your attitudes, you can change your expectations, you can change your beliefs by visualizing. Every morning when you wake up, you go sit in a yoga position, you know, and cross your legs and hum and see yourself winning. You understand that's taught in this country right there? That's a bunch of crap. The biggest thing in my business now, speaking to people like you, where this guy goes around and talks to people about changing attitude, he says every day when you wake up, you need to, the first thing you do is you go look in the mirror and you say, I like myself 5 times. I like myself, I like myself, I like myself, I like myself. That's a pile of it. You've got to be something to like before you like yourself. Ain't that right? You've got to change. The biggest speaker in the new business I'm in right now, folks, I have a little respect for him in some areas, okay? But do you know at a seminar like this, he takes a pause somewhere there and he makes everybody stand up on their chair and cheer themselves for 5 minutes. Ain't that? Yeah! Way to go! You're a stud! Well, that's a pile of it too. Let me tell you this, folks. Let me give this unwritten law. Listen to this unwritten law. Life gives you what you'll fight for. See, life don't give you what you want. Life don't give you what you'd love to have. Everybody would love to be successful, right? Everybody wants success. They want financial independence. Life gives you what you will accept. If you will accept failure, hardships, disappointment, that's exactly what life's going to give you, right? If you want to win, you got to show up and demand for yourself success and fulfillment and happiness. Now, you know what? Some of you might say, Art, now, this business of winning sounds like work to me. You sound like an old fanatic. It ain't worth it if you're going to die. Well, you know what? See, you can't die from overwork. You know, for you former football players, you know the worst experience of a football player's life is going to football camp. Ain't that right? I mean, to go out there in August when it's hot as blue blaze and you put that uniform on, the coach is chewing on you, man, that's the worst experience of your life. Ain't that right? I used to have a speech with my football team before we went to football camp every year. We'd all meet in the gym, and I said, now, fellas, I feel so sorry for you. We're going to go to football camp tomorrow, and that's the worst experience of our life. I understand that. You're going to get out there, and you're going to think you're going to die, and you're just going to... But let me tell you the good news. You can't die from working hard. It's impossible. I don't know why the good Lord did it, but He just put something right between the ears up here that you just can't die from working. Right before you die, you pass out. So, like tomorrow, if we're out there practicing, you say, man, I can't go. If I take another step, I'm going to die. And then you hear Coach Williams say, okay, time for wind sprints. You're going to say, man, I can't do wind sprints. If I take another step, I'm going to die. Don't you worry about it. Because you can't die. You get up there and you just keep going, just keep working hard, and right before you die, you pass out. And then I'll get the trainer to take you up to the showers. He'll put you in a cold shower, give you salt tablets, and you'll be back at work this afternoon. See, folks, listen to this. See, folks, listen to this. I believe desire and determination is everything. It ain't talent, it ain't brains, it ain't education, it's desire and determination. I don't know why I'm like I am, but my butt's always burning. There's something inside of Art Williams that says, dadgummit, you're supposed to be somebody. You're supposed to make a difference with your life. See, folks, you can't teach a pig to sing. You can't take a dud and make him a stud. See, folks, you've got to have a will to win. You've got to have a hunger to be somebody. Now, let's say you want to be somebody. You've got a hunger to be somebody. Folks, I've developed a 30-day plan that'll change your habits. I believe this with everything that's in me. Folks, I've seen it happen thousands of times. I believe in 30 days you can change habits, you can change attitudes, you can change beliefs.
Now I'm going to give you a plan now how you can overcome your fears and your worries and your self-doubts and go on and become a winner, become somebody you're proud of. Now, folks, I believe with everything that's in me, you can change your beliefs, you can change habits, you can change attitudes in 30 days. I'm going to give you a plan, folks, and if you'll do this plan, this simple 2 things now, for 30 straight days, not 5 days or 7 days or 21 days, but if you'll do these 2 things for 30 straight days, folks, it'll change your life. And if you'll do this for 30 straight days, folks, you'll probably live longer, maybe 5 or 10 years longer. You'll feel better. You'll have more energy. You know, you'll enjoy life more. You'll enjoy your family more. You'll be more successful. You'll make more money. So get ready now, folks. If you'll do these 2 things for 30 straight days, it'll change your life.
Number 1, for 30 straight days, you've got to take responsibility for your life. Folks, you've got to stop blaming others. You've got to stop using excuses for your position in life right now. I have found in my life that bitterness and anger will destroy you. Folks, if you've been abused, we all have. If you've been cheated, we all have. If you've been taken advantage upon and hurt, we all have. I know it's tough. But folks, somehow for 30 days you've got to muster the courage to forgive whoever did that to you. And forget it. Forgive them, and forget. I don't know why you did it, but I forgive you. Forgive them, and forget it. You've got to take responsibility. If you've screwed up, and we all have, we all sin all the time. Ain't that right? But folks, you've got to quit carrying this guilt around. If you've sinned, we all have. Ask for forgiveness and forget it. Get all that bitterness out of you. Get all that angerness out of you. Stop blaming others. Stop making excuses for 30 straight days. Change your life. Second thing, for 30 straight days, folks, if you'll do these 5 things. Now, I hate to tell you some of them. This is bad news. I want you to understand how tough it's going to be, okay? This first one ain't as bad as the last one, but it's pretty bad, okay? For 30 straight days. Now, folks, you got to do these 5 things every single day. Number 1, you got to wake up every morning and you got to give your wife or husband a big, juicy kiss. And you got to tell them you love them. But now, you know what? I know some of you are going to say, Art, there ain't no way I'm going to kiss my wife. She has bad breath in the morning. She got to go brush it. Well, you know what? See, there was a time you didn't worry about that. Ain't that right? I'm telling you, folks, for 30 straight days, every morning you wake up, you give your wife or husband a big juicy and tell them you love them. And call them one time during the day and tell them you love them. I'm just thinking about you. I love you. Now, you know what? Some of you might say, Art, now that is it. I mean, I didn't come here to listen to that kind of mess, okay? Well, all I ask you to do, folks, is you look at you and you look at me. Now, had you rather be you and your kind of success in business, or would you rather be me? Number two, for 30 straight days, now this is for most of the men and daddies in the audience, okay? In the morning when you wake up, folks, in the morning when you wake up, you daddies probably, okay, but mamas, if you hadn't been doing this, by yourself, go wake the kids up. For 30 straight days now, don't let mama do it if she's been doing it, or dad do it if he's been doing it, okay? But daddies mostly, you go wake the kids up every day for 30 days. Maybe crawl in bed with them. Maybe hug them. And somehow that morning muster up the courage to tell them you're proud of them. You love them. You think they're special. Gonna be tough, right? And you know what? The first 4 days or 8 days, it's gonna be hard. It's going to be hard to muster. It's going to take a lot of courage to do this, okay? But I tell you what, you do it long enough, in 20 days or 15 days or 25 days, it'll change your life. And you know what's more important than that? It'll change your kid's life. And it'll change your marriage. And all of a sudden, it'll change your business. I'm talking about winning in business. You understand this? Number 3. Now, this you got to do by yourself. You spend 1 hour every day for 30 straight days. You spend 1 hour every day in private time, getting in shape physically and mentally. Go on long walks. Start exercising. If you're smoking, try to stop smoking. If you're eating bad, like me, try to eat right. Try to lose some weight. Try to get in shape a little bit physically. Mentally, listen to something in your car radio of inspiration, Start reading inspirational stuff. Start praying. Start going to church on a regular basis. For 1 hour every day by yourself, not with your husband or wife now. You spend 1 hour every day trying to get in shape mentally or physically. Number 4, for 30 straight days now, in your business life, you have 3 can-do attitudes, okay? Every day, 3 can-do attitudes. The first one, when you meet a defeat, folks, when you meet a defeat, you have an attitude. Let's say in my business, if you miss a sale, okay? The first thing you do, the first attitude you have, you understand when you have a disappointment before, the first thing you think about is quitting, right? Why am I doing this? You start feeling sorry for yourself. You want to suck your thumb and cry. Ain't that right? That's what I did. But for 30 straight days, have an attitude. If you meet a defeat or a disappointment out there, have attitude number 1. It will always work out. If your income's down, it's rather than sit there and cry about it, say, it's going to work out. I don't know why, but I did it one time. I can do it again. It's going to always work out. Attitude number 2, for 30 straight days, try something else. Folks, if something happens in your business that you can't control, let's say your best guy quits, okay? Folks, if something happens you can't control, a bad article in the newspaper, you wish it didn't happen, right? But there ain't nothing you can do about it. It happened, right? If something happens in your business that you can't control, that's beyond your control, then have an attitude for 30 days. Try something else. Let's say if your best guy quit for 25 years, what I try to do is replace him with 2 people. Promote 2 people to replace him. Try something else. Attitude number 3. All you can do is all you can do. Folks, maybe this is my ego talking, but I don't believe there's ever been a salesperson in the history of the world that tried harder. Now, I know I screwed up, but I tried hard to do what's right on the front end. I've never sold anything but term insurance. I've never sold anything but what I own. I never sold on the first interview. I took an educational approach to the business. I didn't want to put people under pressure. I did everything I thought I could do And the first 2 years I was in business, all I heard was no. 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 No, thank you. No, I don't want any. No. And every time I'd go in, I can talk, right? Right? And man, I'd talk it, I'd talk it, I'd talk it, I'd say, how does it sound? And that guy'd say, no. And that old smile would come to my face. And I'd say everything you weren't supposed to. I'd say, Bill, it's been so great knowing you, blah, blah, blah. And I'd hit that door. Before I got to the door, I started beating up on myself. I said, Art, you are such a dog. You know, why didn't you answer it this way? Why didn't you do this? Art, you can't make it. Just throw in the towel and go back and coach football for a living. And then after 2 years, two things happened to me. Number one, I paid a death claim. You know, all of a sudden, I took a widow a check for $100,000 out, and if I had not made that sale, she would have had a burial policy, enough to put her husband in the ground and pay a few expenses, and she'd have been broke. I gave them a chance in life. All of a sudden, I said, you know, I thought this worked. I mean, mathematically, I could prove it works. I owned it on my own life. I believed it works. This is all I sold. But, man, I have no doubts now. It really works. The second thing that happened is I was making tons of money. I had $1,000 when I started in this thing part-time, full-time coach, athletic director at Kendrick High School in Columbus, Georgia. And in a little over 2 years, I'd saved over $42,000. Now, that don't sound like much right now, but that was like $10 or $20 million to me now. You understand that? And so I was making a lot of money, and it really worked. And all of a sudden, I said, now, Art, you've been thinking all wrong. When you walk in a house, if by term and investment difference is right, and it works, and you own it, and you own it. If you're talking to this coach that's a good coach, but he don't know nothing about insurance and investments, right? If a guy that don't know nothing says no, and you're right when you walk in, a guy that don't know nothing says no, you still right when you walk out, right? Changed my life. All you can do is all you can do, right? So from then on, I'd walk in a house, and man, I can talk, right? And man, I'd talk it, I'd say, how's it sound? And they kept saying, no, no. And that old smile would come to my face. I'd say everything you're supposed to. Bill's been so great knowing you, blah, blah, blah. And I hit that door. And before I got the door, I started thinking, I said, you know what? I must have analyzed 2 million policies last year. But of all the policies I analyzed, that guy's policies had to be the worst. But you know what? It's just perfect for him. I don't even like him anymore. For 30 straight days, folks, have an attitude. All you can do is all you can do. But folks, if you do all you can do, it's going to be enough. Now the last thing, I wish I could end this session right now without telling you the last thing, because this is going to probably blow it for you. You're going to say, Art, those other four are tough, but I really believe I can muster up the courage to do that. But please don't tell me nothing worse than that. Well, this is a bear. I want you to know. This is going to defeat most of you. This is the fifth thing you got to do every day for 30 straight days, okay? You ready? Don't have a heart attack now, okay? I'm telling you in advance, this is bad, okay? Every day for 30 straight days, you got to smile, okay? You got to be happy. Ain't that sad? All day. I mean, you got to smile. You got to be happy. Listen to this now, one more part of it. You got to have an attitude that everything's great. I don't care what anybody asks you for 30 straight days, everything's great. You go into the office tomorrow, they say, Art, how did elections come out last week? Everything's great. Art, how's it been? Everything's great. Art, how's your income? Everything's great. Art, how's your family? Everything's great. Everything's great. 30 straight days. Now, it's sad. Now, I know some of you say it. I can't do that. Okay, I understand that. Okay, and that ain't all of it. I'm sorry to tell you. Okay, not only have you got to smile and be happy and have an attitude that everything's great at business, but you got to do it at home. So see, you can't go to work and be smiling and be happy and everything's great, and then go home and beat the wife and kids. Okay. I mean, when you go home, everything's got to be great. You got to be smiling. You got to be happy. And your wife said, how your day go? Everything's great. Everything's great. See, almost everybody gets there. Almost everybody's over the hump. Almost everybody has it going. Almost is a way of life to almost everybody, but the winners, they do it. What do? They do whatever it takes to get the job done. They do it and do it and do it and do it and do it until the job gets done. And then they talk about how great it is to be somebody. We need leaders in this country who can do it. If you want to be somebody, dadgummit, do it. If you want to become financially independent, do it. I hear too much talk everywhere I go. We need people who can do it and then talk. Everywhere I go, people say, Art, you can count on me. Wonderful. Just do it. Art, I'm going to be a sales leader in 30 days. Great. Just do it. Art, our Life Underwriters Association is going to run all you termites out of the business. Wonderful. Just do it. Art, if I just had one good month, if I could just get a little momentum going, I know I could make it big. We'll do it then. Art, if I just had one good recruit, I know I could tear it up. Great. Just do it. Art, if I could just pay off this debt, I could really go. We'll do it. Art, if I could just sell my house, do it. But houses ain't selling. Do it anyway. Art, I'm not making any money. What can I do? You just do it. Do what, Art? You do it and do it and do it. Art, when I get to be an RVP, can I quit doing it? Nope. Art, I guarantee I'm going to win this contest. See you in Hawaii. Wonderful. Just do it. Art, I guarantee I'm over the hump now. Do it. Art, I want to make it so bad I can taste it. What I do? You just do it. Art, I don't know if I can keep on keeping on. I'm really hurting. What I do? You just do it. Do what, Art? You do it and do it and do it. Art, all my life I wanted to be somebody important. We'll do it then. Art, I'm going to recruit 20 people this month. Wonderful. Just do it. Art, I'm going to save money this month. Great. Just do it. I'm hurting, Art. I'm really hurting. What I do? You just do it. Art, dadgummit, I'm a national sales director now. Can I quit doing it? No. Art, I don't feel like I've had enough training. Great. Just do it. Art, my manager don't give me no help. Do it. Art, you don't understand. Look at my resume. I was a #1 stud at my former company. I won every contest, every promotion. Look at that resume. You don't mean somebody like me's got to start off down there and do it, do you? Yep. You really got to do it. Art, what's the primary difference between winners and losers at A.L. Williams? The winners do it. They do it and do it and do it and do it until the job gets done. Then they're going to talk about how great it is to have achieved something unique and how glad they are that they didn't quit like everybody else and how wonderful it is to be somebody special.
The power of believing in you is the first step on the road to building a successful business. To complete the package, you need to know how to sell your product and how to grow your business. Art Williams has 2 additional programs that outline the systems he developed in his successful business: Passion Selling and the Art of Recruiting. Passion Selling gives you the simple secret Art used to build the company that still holds an industry record of placing $300 billion of individual life insurance in force. The Art of Recruiting details the plan you need to grow your business and build financial security for your family, like it did for thousands of families in A.L. Williams. Both are available from Leaders in Action by calling 800-611-8029. When you complete this series, you will have a proven plan that can be the foundation for your business future. Passion Selling and the Art of Recruiting. Available now from Leaders in Action. This program is copyrighted by Art Williams Productions. Any unauthorized reproduction is strictly prohibited.